Today is the day that I'm taking you with me to Waterstones Brussels. So hello and welcome my fellow fantasy book lovers. Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi and welcome. My name is Kathy. I'm a fantasy book lover from Belgium. For today's video, I'm doing the long requested going to Waterstones vlog. I actually didn't manage to record outdoors as much because the city center of Brussels was very crowded today. It was the 21st of September, it was nice weather and it seemed like everyone in Brussels was in the city center. Now, if you want to go to Waterstones Brussels, you can either go by public transport. It's a 15-minute walk from, I think, both Brussels North and Central. And it's actually in the street parallel to the biggest shopping street of Brussels, which is called Rue Neuve, or New Street, New Straat. If you go there and you want to go by car, I always park in the City 2 shopping mall. It is a rather expensive parking, but it is really nice. And then in the shopping mall, you also have other stores such as HMV who sell like geeky stuff. I often go there after going to Waterstones. I also did that today. So now for Waterstones. When you enter the beautiful shop of Brussels Waterstones, the first thing you will see are the new arrivals of the books, and right behind the cash till is actually the sci-fi and fantasy section. This isn't super big, so you actually have the two sides of the row of books where you can look at, and then the tables right behind it are also sci-fi and fantasy books, most of the time in a specific theme. And for my visit to the shop, I actually contacted Emily, who is my all-time favorite employee there. She knows this. Thank you so much again, Emily, for helping me out today with the video. Without you, it wouldn't have been the same. And she actually recommended us a few books. So the part that you will see now in the video is recorded downstairs in the shop, and there were actually a lot of people around us. So if you see us looking around, it's because there were other people who are trying to browse the book section as well. So whenever you're browsing at Waterstones, sometimes it can be overwhelming to find whatever you want to read. So that's why here in Brussels, I'm super happy that there's Emily. Hi. Emily is a genius when it comes to books. She always gives me the best recommendations. So Emily, you're going to take over now and maybe start with some new releases. Let's go with that.
All right, I have a whole bunch for you guys. Her recommendation also for Kathy and a lot of new releases. So first one, we kind of pulled this off just because it was very reminiscent of what you're very interested in, very vampire. So it's very gothic, very vampire, talking about Dracula's first victim. Girl with No Reflection, very low stakes fairy tale like fantasy for people who really like The Girl Who's Held Beneath the Ocean. Spell Shop, very, very wonderful for cozy fantasy right now in this autumn time. So for those who kind of like The Honey Witch and Flower Heart or Braveheart, is I'm really forgetting the name of the book. That Temptation of Magic, Academic Rivals to Lovers. So who loves a little smoke, burn enemies to lovers? And of course, Dark Academia, why not? Gods Below, more higher stakes fantasy, really amazing mythology that comes into it. So lots of gods battling for the kingdom and lots of amazing magic. Yes. Lady Macbeth. We are currently actually doing a book club on it. I am one of the moderators for tomorrow, little in support. So it is a Macbeth-inspired retelling, very feminist, very witchy, very gothic. Love the vibes. Finally, from the new releases that I'm going to recommend is The Phoenix Keeper. It's another really cozy fantasy, perfect for those who love mythical creatures, again, academic rivals to lovers. And basically, it's just about her trying to save the phoenix and their species, and it's just so heartfelt and heartwarming.
And then we go upstairs, because if you go up the stairs, you will face the young adult section. Now, I read both from the adult and the young adult sections of bookstores. They're some of my favorite books that are actually YA books, such as Silver in the Bone is a YA series. And I feel like the YA fantasy section is also very well curated. And of course, if you're looking for anything special, you can always go and ask the employees. So right now we're in front of the teen fiction section, which is often overlooked, which is very much a shame, because some of my personal favorite fantasy books come from the teen fiction section and not from the adult section downstairs. So whenever you're in Waterstones Brussels, just go up the stairs and you will ride straight onto it.
So indeed, the YA section definitely needs to be on the launch. Their fantasy is something you should look into because it often gets overlooked because people say it's quite childish, but no, it can be really good if you just
Grisha verse is here. Lee Bardugo is here. So I think that's one of the best examples that I can give right now on top of my head.
So I'd have to say what I have for you on this part is going to be a little bit mixed as well, but more so YA than the last recommends we were talking about.
Awesome.
So first one I have for you is The God in the Moon by Sophie Kim. Now this one is just also another fun, cozy kind of fantasy, very heavy on the Asian mythology retellings as well. So basically, Gumiko is kind of like a nine-tailed fox in Korean mythology. And she decides to actually run a coffee shop, a little reminiscent of Legends of Lattes.
Yes.
But so she's discovered to be this very infamous Gumio. And so there's somebody who now needs to go kill her, as well as this very powerful demon that's on the loose.
I actually have it from one of my subscriptions, but haven't looked into it yet. So now I'm like, maybe I should give it a try.
A little more motivation.
It's a lot more motivation.
So this one's called A Magical Girl with Tires. I'm actually shouting out my friends at the Korean Cultural Center for this as they have a book club on October 17th. I read this back when it came out in June, July, and it's just such a quirky, fun time.
It looks really fun. The cover art really looks like the anime series.
The cover is amazing. I love this illustrator, and it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. It's very short, quick read. You can do this in like one afternoon. She does the same illustrator.
There's illustrations.
Yeah. So basically, I would even venture to say it's a little bit magical realism. So there's this 30-year-old girl, and she feels like a lizard in life. She's set out to end everything. And she gets stopped by this girl who looks like an anime character in all eyes. Surprise, surprise. And she offers her a chance to join the Magical Girl Society. And basically, these magical girls have these talismans for them, and they grant them special individual powers. So if, like, one girl can teleport through certain distances, another one can kind of stop time for a certain amount of period. And she's trying to figure out what her power is. But all these magical girls are teaming up to try to stop the biggest threat that the world has faced. And that is global warming.
Okay.
So, again, it's really quirky, really good time, though. And it is also queer friendly. So,
It sounds like a lot of fun.
I really enjoyed it. So, very different from your usual magical realism, for sure.
Yes.
So, this one, I wouldn't be surprised if you found it
Side of the hardcover, but feel free to talk about it.
Till Death Do Us Part. I can't not talk to you about it because you did ask for recommendations and I need to include it. So basically, it's this cozy fantasy. Legend of Lattes is one of my favorite.
Yes, mine too.
Of all time. So good. And this is just giving the same exact vibes. So basically, I forget the main character's name, Logan the Bear, wants to retire from this action-packed life and just kind of go about his life with his husband. And his husband ends up going missing one day. So he has to go on this adventure to try to get him back.
One last adventure.
And it's definitely for people who love D&D because it's giving me very fluffy D&D vibes.
Awesome.
I absolutely love this book is just so underrated, honestly. I mean, not enough people talk about it. You need to read it for all the cozy fantasy vibes this fall and for the rest of the year. And Song of the Silk Realms is another Asian mythology inspired. So it's really. It's from the same writer from A Magic Steeped in Poison, and she A Magic Steeped in Poison was a wizard duology that focused upon a magic system within tea.
In tea?
Yeah, they used tea as magic. So I thought that was already a very unique concept. This one, though, is kind of like undercover, very, what I'd say, if you're kind of into ancient Chinese period vibes. So there's this anime actually called the Apothecary Diaries that reminds me of this. So again, it's set in ancient China, and her parents had died, and she was taken in by her uncle and raised to be this very kind of really well endowed musician. And so she's taken to the kingdom, to the castle, to the king to serve as kind of an entertainer. So she ends up getting a deal from the king saying, like, if you play for me privately for 1 year, and all your debts will be forgiven and you'll be free to go. Who needs her help, actually, within the underworld, so to say. And she has to go through all these monsters and demons in the 6 realms to help the king fight. Because, the entire world is in danger, basically, from these monsters. So even though it looks very
cozy and sweet and innocent,
it's actually quite darker than it is. But she brings these things that are dark in such a light way as well. So that's what I love about her magic systems as well. They're very neat. Like all of her books, it's at the end. Just that aspect is very nice to read.
So this book is a style,
which doesn't really happen with a lot of fantasy.
Yeah, no.
So
it's very difficult to find good standalones, I feel.
Yeah. Another standalone, since we've got a whole bunch of standalones in a row, is A Sea of Wolves from Sarah Street. She did A Curse of Salt, which was a Sleeping of Beauty inspired or Cinderella inspired kind of retelling with pirates. Now this one is A Sea of Wolves, and it is Red Riding Hood inspired, but again, more Red Riding Hood with pirate. It's a lot of sea fantasy. So it is a standalone, so darker fairy tale. I think that's also a common theme for this time period, but also something that is quite nice and light to read when you kind of want something that's a twist on something classic. So A Jade and Dragons by Amber Jen. So dragons, of course, nice and tactile. Now, dragons in this sense, it's actually not in the traditional dragon sense. It's really interesting. It's basically non-installed retelling in a steampunk verse.
Okay, can you ask us a steampunk?
Just exactly.
Does it have mushu?
A steampunk one, if you dare say. Well, wait, it's really interesting because you don't really see steampunk type of qualities. They're fine. No, and that's why. Well, this vlogger is my favorite Disney character. So, of course, I was so excited when this one came out. But basically, she's an engineer who's trying to fulfill her dad's last wish because he was actually murdered, and she's trying to find out which did and find his master engineer. And it just takes her into this underground world where she has to pretend to be her brother. Much and kind of just prove myself to these guys that she didn't and this nurse can do it.
Yes.
And with the cliffhanger at the end just leaves you wanting the second book already.
And when is the second book releasing for those of you who want to read the first and the second book together?
Unfortunately, not till next year.
So thank you so much, Emily, for all of these recommendations. Later on in the hauls, we will see which ones I'll take. Thank you so much for your time, and I cannot wait to come back somewhere in the near future to get more recommendations.
It's always a pleasure having me here, and you're always welcome. And any of your viewers, whoever wants some recommendations, I'm happy to give them. My colleagues are always available as well for recommendations as well. We each have our little genre that we're very specialized in, I would say. And, I like to think of myself as very agent.
The fantasy experts. Yes.
Well, definitely for others. I know branch into other genres as well, but fantasy, I'm one that's ones who does mainly fantasy.
You are the reference here for fantasy. Every time I'm here and I want something fantasy, the other colleagues are like, have you tried Tolkien? Have you tried Sanderson? I'm like, yes.
One. I'm Tolkien and Sanderson are great at, but there's so much more. So I'm happy to always introduce you to someone that maybe you haven't seen. So I can't wait to come back.
Yes, thank you so much.
Have a nice day.
So again, a super big thank you to Emily from Waterstones. Every time I go there, I send them a message beforehand asking if Emily is working, because whenever she's not working, I tend to leave with 2 books, maybe 3. But whenever she is working, I end up with a lot more books. And for me, that's really good because I love to read and I love to get actual catered book recommendations to what I like to read. So again, a big thank you to Emily, and also hi to Emily's partner, who's super proud that she was featured in my video. And it's always a joy seeing you. And now let's get into the haul part of this video, because I'm sure that you all want to know which books I actually took with me. The first one is a book that wasn't actually included in the recommendations, but it is Apprentice to the Villain. I had a really fun time with Assistant to the Villain, and I actually really wanted another palate cleanser in between my reads. So I read Apprentice to the Villain, and you will see this book featured into my September reads. It's because I got a digital version on my e-reader, but I also want it as a physical book, because I borrow these types of books to all of my friends, and I know there's a few of them who really want to read it, and I just want to have a physical copy as well. Then we have one of the recommendations, The Temptations of Magic. And this was actually featured in Illumicrate or Fairy Loot, and I was really hesitating on getting one of those editions. So whenever Emily recommended to me again, I really was like, okay, I need this book. So this is a dark academia romance, and I hope that the academic setting is one that I will like, because I'm very hit or miss with academic settings. However, because it's magic, I really felt like this could work for me. Up next, we have the book that was practically screaming my name about Dracula's first victim, Lucy Undying. I absolutely love this color with the girl and then the creepy looking monstrous hair. And I'm just very much looking forward to what this book is like. So I hope this will be an October or November read for me, because this screams dark vibes, a little bit creepy. Another book that will probably come as no surprise is The Phoenix Keeper. I love Emily Wilde, and I also loved, or really enjoyed at least, the Fantastic Beasts movies. I didn't enjoy the Fantastic Beasts book because it's basically a summary of all the beasts with a little bit of explanation A to Z, which is not what I'm into. So I really hope that this, again, is the perfect storytelling with creatures. And yeah, I have very high hopes for this book, and it's absolutely gorgeous as well. And the final book that I really wanted was Lady Macbeth. I actually saw the special editions of it, but I knew that I liked this cover art more, and that for a lot of my books, I don't really care about the sprayed edges anymore. I just want a nice looking hardcover copy, and I really love the way the edge looks with the gold foiling and then the dagger in between. Now, this is inspired by Macbeth. I haven't personally read it, but I think I'll be fine just reading this book, and I'm just very curious for it. It's also not super thick, so I think I will read this pretty soon. And then the last book I ended up getting was not actually the book that she recommended me. However, it is the first book in the duology of the tea magic that she recommended. So this book is called A Magic Steeped in Poison, and I really liked the idea of magic and tea, especially because my partner is a very big tea lover. And if you saw me at any point in the video nodding or pointing at someone behind the camera, that was actually my partner helping me out with the recording of the video. So this wraps up my visit to Waterstones in Brussels. I recorded this video on the 21st of September. So the releases that I got were releases that were out at that moment in time. There are a few more books that I am wanting to go fetch in the near future. So I think near the end of October, I will be going back to the store. And for me, vlogging is something that I really need to get back into. So I'm sorry if this isn't like a perfect vlog. I will try and improve with the next times that I go there, because I will definitely be going back to Waterstones Brussels. Let me know in a comment down below, do you have have a local bookstore that you enjoy going to. For me, Waterstones Brussels is about an hour from where I live, but it is hands down the best English bookstore that I have near me. Like, Belgium doesn't really have a big assortment of English bookstores. Most bookstores, if they have English books, it's like one case of it and that's it, unfortunately. And I just prefer holding a book, seeing a book before buying it most of the time. And I think that bookstores are really essential for readers, and especially the employees of bookstores with a big knowledge about the books that they sell, such as Emily. For me, it adds a lot of value that she can recommend me books based off of what I already have read and enjoyed, and then of course also the new releases. Feel free to also let me know in a comment down below which one of Emily's suggestions spoke to you most. Which book would you like to get from those? Because the video that will be airing on Friday is going to be a 1000 subscriber celebration, and I may or may not be giving away books. And then of course, feel free to give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. And if you haven't already and you'd like to be, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'm making videos every week and I would love to have you for every single one of them. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!